watching Maliah Grimm. You're now watching Maliah Grimm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are just getting started, so thank you for tuning in. And we have Propagate This Light with us. Hi, Propagate. How are you?
Everything's good. How you doing?
Good. Your audio sounding good. How's mine? Is it okay? Too loud? Okay. Might have
Yeah,
some
everything sounds
background
good.
noise. I've got the air conditioner running today. It's hot over here. How are you guys? You feeling the weather?
Yeah, it's a little bit warm at the moment where I'm at, but it's manageable at the moment.
Nice. Nice. How was your day?
Everything's everything. Just try to keep my head up, in the midst of, the ups and downs. But everything's been pretty smooth today. Thanks for asking. What about you?
Well, I want to say thank you for that fun little intro this morning. That was pretty awesome. That was fun. So
Oh yeah, it's
that
all
made
good.
my
Some
day.
that. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. It's all good. No problem.
Awesome. Well, I had a pretty busy day. Thursdays are always busy for me, but had a lot of fun too. It was a good day. Had a very active dream night last night, which is kind of why I thought, well, we ought to talk about dreams today because it was pretty active. And I was curious um, if you had any eventful dreams lately.
Oh yeah, give me 1 second. I think I'm
Sure,
hearing your
sure.
air conditioner in the background.
I'm gonna click it off because I think so too.
I mean, you could have it on. Oh, okay, okay.
That's probably
Um,
a lot better.
oh no, I was just saying that you could just simply just mute and you can still have it running. You're so hot,
Yeah,
still hot.
I'm not too worried about it. I've had it on for a while, so I'm okay. Kind of intended to turn it off, so we're all
Okay,
good.
yeah. My dreamscape has been wow. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Like past couple of weeks. It seems like when I eat these peanuts, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it's in my own head, but sometimes I eat these peanuts before I go to bed, and then it seems like after I do that, my dreams are a lot more lucid, I guess, and they're very interesting.
Hmm. Is it a certain kind or brand of peanuts that you're indulging in?
Yeah, it's called the Propagate This Light peanuts. You can get them at E-Mart on. No, I'm joking. Yeah, so if anybody's interested, it's Planters peanuts, but honey roasted Planters peanuts. Once I eat one, I can't stop, so that's why I kind of eat a little more than, a little bit before I go to bed.
Right, right, right. As long as didn't we have an ad for peanut butter balls there for a minute?
Who, me? No.
Yeah, I thought I saw one in one of your snack times breaks.
Yeah, I
Could have
think
been
you were
somebody
talking about,
else.
yeah, the only thing I could remember about balls was or like the Google commercial that I did where I had like these the rubber balls that bounce. That's the only thing that I could think of right now.
Mm. Well, there's definitely some research on stone, actually ancient stone balls that I've looked into. You can find them in Scotland and well, all over the world, really. And they're kind of they're like giant stone balls. I don't know if you've ever heard of these before, but
No, no.
they kind of we think we figured out that they're related to giant cedar trees and they're the seeds from the giant cedar trees. Maybe. Sure seems that way.
Okay, so you're saying that those represent the seeds?
Yeah, yeah. That they could have something to do with it. And I did have earlier pulled up, speaking of dreams, we were talking last night, about some cryptids and stuff. And usually in dreams is where most people encounter cryptids type things. Like, for example, Lockwood Ingersoll talked and described a lot of different shadow creatures and this kind of thing, cryptids um, in the multi universes. But I thought I found some pictures, so I could probably pull them up and share them if I can figure out how to do that over here on StreamYard. I'm still like figuring it all out. I know how to like get pictures uploaded onto here, but I haven't figured out the what were you telling me about the new thing on StreamYard, the
Yeah, you
slideshow.
could show. Right, right. You can show slides. I haven't used that feature yet, but if you want to show something from your computer, you just go to share screen, and then you'll select share entire screen.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool. Yeah, maybe I'll pull that up later because I found a bunch of really creepy pictures that are pretty close to Lockwood's descriptions of some of the creatures and cryptids. So I thought that would be
Okay.
fun to share and see if you recognize any of them. Because one of them I thought might be close to the one that you were telling me about that like jumped onto your back. Remember? It had like claws
Right.
on your back.
Yeah.
Right. So
Do you have a shirt mic on, or a mic is on your counter?
the mic is on my counter. You hear my mouse, huh?
Okay.
Probably because my it picks up pretty good. Sorry, here's
Okay.
but Yeah, let's see if I can share this now. Here, I'll get it. There we go. Can you see that?
Yep, I see the cryptid.
What do you think about that? Pretty creepy, no?
Wow. That is, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
what is that what is that one actually called? Does it have a name, or this is an actual being that actually exists, correct?
No, it's supposed to be a fictional character because it comes out of Lovecraft's um, descriptions. So it's a drawing, but it could exist. I don't see why not. Definitely is something I'm not quite sure. I had some more up here, but I would have to go through. Um, oh, that's great. Let me show you all my email. There we go. Um, but I should have some more pulled up at a different time. Once I figure out slideshows and stuff, I'll do that. But that was just one of them. That's the one that I felt like was probably the most closest matching to the description that you gave me. But
Hmm.
I don't know. It would be um, pretty creepy if so, right?
Hmm. Hmm. And so you were asking me earlier about the dreams, and you were saying that cryptids could interact with you through the dream state.
Right. That's how I first encountered cryptids at a younger age was through the dream state in the in between state essentially. So like at a point where you're from kind of falling into sleep, and then when you're coming in out of sleep too, it can be a very time where you're in the astral plane essentially, and so you're encountering um, the actual dimension where those creatures would exist, where you could move and stuff. So in the dreamland is kind of where people start to learn how to um, maneuver different dimensions and stuff for the first time. That makes sense.
So yeah, because people that I've been speaking to, even myself, I've been thinking like, okay, maybe when we close our eyes and we wake up, at least some of the time we're waking up in a different dimension. Is that even possible?
Um, yeah, yeah, waking up in a different dimension where your body is asleep. Oh yeah, definitely. I would say that's possible. Um, it would basically be kind of like you're waking up and then feeling like your body's still asleep, if I'm understanding you right, but then you wake up fully where you're conscious and start to experience things in that other dimension, right?
No, what I'm saying is when you go to sleep, you're laying in your bed and then you wake up in your bed. Could that reality there be a whole different reality?
It could. I don't see why not. It could happen where you're waking up in an alternate reality that's just very similar to this one. What you're saying?
Right, right. Because that conversation we had about money bags, 73, and then changing to 76 and then back to 73 again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I brought it up to him, he said he's been the number that he's been since certain amount of years. That's what he said before when he was a different number. I know this sounds kind of complicated, but what I'm getting at is that uh he's not going to be replying to me as the money bags 76 because he's 73. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, obviously he's a different version of himself. So am I in a different reality or what's going on? Because people attribute that to the Mandela effect, you know?
Or it could be memory. Yeah. Mandela effect. Maybe. Mandela effect is kind of like, in theory, essentially is still yet to be fully identified and given a proper definition or an acceptable definition of what it is. I mean, we have a basic one of when it started to first show up, right, in 2012 with essentially Mandela got the name from Nelson Mandela during the discovery of the Higgs boson through CERN. And effectively, Mandela is supposed to kind of understand it right, be like a synchronization of alternate realities where time and space was bent, and because of that, multiple timelines were created in which people could possibly be moving or jumping from or experiencing the alternate timelines, right? Is that kind of how you understand it, or?
Well, yeah, something like that. Like, so can I ask you just real quick? Are you Mandela affected, or you say it's a theory?
I don't know. I haven't, like, me personally, I haven't fully decided. There's obviously something going on. What it is exactly, I'm not sure. As much as I think I kind of lean more towards, or to me, what makes the most sense is remote viewing and accessing remote viewing or traveling through Stargate's time travel type portals in which someone is making changes in effect to the timeline by remote viewing, um, and
Okay.
working for that. So to me, it seems like that would be the most plausible explanation for changes in mostly writing sense. So, like, changes in spelling, very, very slight. So, what I think probably happened was making those experiments with the remote viewing and traveling back in the timeline with remote view into where they influenced the person making the original document, like writing the original translation was there. And so it influenced that in such a way where it changed it, essentially recorded it differently than. And to me, it seems like that would make why the explanation of why we remember things differently, because the alternate timelines thing doesn't seem to fully explain, well, then why would we remember that it used to be different? It would seem like if alternate realities had happened or timelines had happened, then we would have an effect of, we would always have remembered it that way because that timeline was created in that sense. So I don't know if we would, it doesn't make sense to me that we would be able to have recognized that, um, the change itself, where in, if a remote viewer had changed it, and talking like someone who's able to psychically travel and advanced enough, like military wise, where I'm talking like Project Looking Glass or something of that effect, where they were intentionally seeing if they could make recorded changes to prove that this could happen. And to me, that's how it makes sense why we would remember it differently, because it was changed during our lifetimes, although effectively it was changed thousands of years ago. That makes sense. Like, it's a really big mind warp, the whole thing.
Yeah, there's some where this is gonna kind of trail into like dream,
Compass.
but yeah, there's somewhere I would think of something. Sorry about that. The dog in the background doesn't like me talking about this. Um, um, so there's one that heavens in the Bible, and when I first heard about the ME, um, I just thought it was something that somebody made up. So I just said, well, you know what? I said this in my head. I said, if this one thing changes that I know that is a certain way, because I kind of like really read the Bible and try to understand it at one point. And I said, well, if this one thing changes, it was a quote in the Bible, then I'll look into the Mandela effect. So a couple of days passed. I went to go got my personal Bible. I opened it up to that passage, and I didn't expect it to be different. It was that one thing that I thought of that nobody has spoken on, you know, and it changed, and that was heavens. I knew it to be heavens, and then I looked and it said heaven. So you were saying that, remote viewing, etc. And some people will say like it's an outside source, but this is another thing that I wonder about. Like you said, you wonder how could we remember? I wonder that too, right? But I think that maybe when you're outside of survival mode, maybe, and you're kind of like panning into this type of content, it may be possible that you can recall when something's different because your focus has been on um this type of content, like outside of the box, if you will, I guess. Um but real quick, back to what I was saying about heavens. I went to go look and it said heaven, so I wrote it down on a separate piece of paper. So I brought out that book that I wrote it in, and I turned to that page, and the word heavens itself, only the word heavens when I wrote it in the book, was ripped out of the book. So what
Wow.
is what is going on there? Like, what outside source is doing all of that?
That I don't know. That's fascinating though.
Right.
And
And so I'm
totally
sitting
random book, right? Sorry.
random. What do you mean? Random
Like
book.
explain it where the book came from. Like how did you or why that Bible was significant that that page was ripped out of it.
So the page wasn't ripped out of the Bible. I just wrote down some verses on this on a notebook type book, if that makes any sense. A book that
Uh-huh.
has nothing but blank paper in it. So I just kind of wrote on that inside of that book the phrases so I could
Right.
better understand it. So then I
Hmm.
wrote heavens in that book. So I went to go, fetch that book. I pulled it out, turned to the page where I wrote it to verify, and the word heavens was ripped out of the book. Only the word heavens.
Only wow. Wow. But see, in other Bibles, what did you find? Did you check other Bibles?
Of course, but I was going to church a lot back then too. So I asked the pastor. The pastor was a family friend, so I seen him almost all the time. So I definitely asked him in Bible study. He went through his Bible, and I didn't say anything about any changes or anything like that. I just said, well, where is this verse at? That's in the King James, right? And he was like, yeah. So he went through his Bible, and then he looked, and then he kind of like went through some more pages, and then he opened up his phone and started going through his phone. So he's not telling me nothing, but what I'm gathering is that he didn't find it in the Bible. So now he's like searching online on the online Bible services to find it. He couldn't find it. He couldn't find it saying. So what he told me was it's there, and as far as the way it looked,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the only thing I know for sure is that translation difference between heaven and heavens would only make a difference in the language English itself because while there is plurality in Hebrew, the heavens um, pretty much are always described as shamayim, the word shamayim, which is a plural um, in essence. So it would be giving you a more accurate translation of the actual word by having S at the end. Um, but whether or not the original version from Biblio Spain had heaven or heavens, that would be a hard one to track down. I would think a lot of it would depend on the printing version.
Okay. So are you familiar with that phrase in the Bible?
Let me. What's the scripture verse?
God created the heavens and the earth.
Oh
I was
yeah,
just asking you,
verse one.
like, oh,
Yeah,
so that's
super
okay.
familiar
So
with
that's
that.
okay. So that's what it said, correct?
It says Bereshit, or in the beginning. Um, some translations or some say that, and I have my own wonders about this, but the Hebrew version says Yod He Vav He, or Yahweh or Yahweh. Um, Lots of different ways to pronounce that. Whether or not that's actually all, I know for sure that's a title, just like God. So it's a description. It's not a name. Um, we don't necessarily have a name for so-called source creator of the Bible or anything that matches that. We just don't. And that it says on that note, really quickly, it says in the book itself, there is not a pronounceable by man name for the source, the creator of things of this place. So kind of sticks to that. But that first verse, yeah, it says, so he separated the water from the waters, and that above from the below, essentially, is what it's saying. It's like a separation process. So it's introducing the base words of Hebrew, number one being Bereshit, or translated in the beginning, or the first thing that happened, which matches a lot of other people's creation, a lot of other cultures' creation stories as well. So yeah,
Okay.
it could easily, just varying on different printings, have either heaven or heavens there. It would just kind of depend on what version, if it's a King James or New King James, or there's so many different versions too, which I think cause a lot of the confusion with the translation verses and stuff.
Yeah. So like I was saying, when I was breaking it down, I was saying I went to my personal Bible. So with me personally, I only use one Bible. Like I don't skip different Bibles and have all the, I just had this one Bible that I read from, and it's a King James version. And what I'm saying is that when I was studying it one time, it said heavens in there because I stopped at that verse and I was like, okay, what does that even mean? Because I want to understand what I'm reading before I continue to read, right? So I was stuck there for like a whole hour. And then I went back to that same Bible, and now the S is gone. But remember though, when I heard about the Mandela effect, I came up with that in my thoughts that I will look into the Mandela effect if this one thing changed. And that was the one thing that I chose, was what I knew, what I knew, right? But now it's different. So it was all in
Mm-hmm.
the same Bible, is what I'm saying. But what I was asking is, are you personally familiar with that verse? Like the verse is 1:1 in Genesis.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you referring to one or a different one? But oh yeah, um, yeah, yeah, very familiar with it. I broke it down a lot in the Hebrew, um, and you can go really, really deep with it, just because Hebrew is like that. You can take one word and just unpackage it and unpackage it again, and then a third time you can unpackage it. And with those three levels of dimensions that one word can give you, then you can come to another understanding of it, which is considered the fourth dimension of Hebrew. So that word itself, God created the heaven and the earth. So I've got it pulled up here, but my text is super small. Okay, so Bereshit, Bara, Elohim. So it doesn't even have Yahweh there. I forgot. It's in the second verse that Yahweh shows up. But Elohim, which is like the like an angel, or um, creator himself can refer to himself as Elohim too. It's where the Muslim word Allah comes from. It's just forms of the AL sound. So Elohim, and then At-Tav, or Ad Al-Tav, which is like a beginning ending marker. Hashamayim. So that's plural of heaven. The translation would be heavens. Or Ha just means that he's describing a specific the. You would make it a word the there at the beginning. And then Shin Mem Yod Mem Shamayim. Like I said, it's a makeup of the word Mayim, which is water. And the Shah puts the essence of fire, spirit, this kind of sense. The Sheen is a devouring letter. It's a strong letter. It's where we get our word shh for be quiet, you know, and shush or shut up. Even all of these shh words have a very strong connotation, and usually stem from the st sound, the st sound, and where we get strong, the word strong from. And it also has it's a couple letters before sheen, so it builds on that as well. So, but mem yod mem is what makes up the word water, or mem yod mayim. Mayim is water. So it has the connotation of a womb. Actually, closest translation would be a womb. The waters inside of a womb. And there, in the description of the verse, is basically saying the separation of those waters between the waters of the womb, even could be connotated into the waters of the earth. The separation of waters is the very basics of it. And it's definitely plural. So I can see how a lot of translations would put in heavens there with an S at the end, and others, like in a pretty strict King James version, like a Baptist or this kind of thing, would have heaven instead of heavens.
So what I'm trying to understand is like, how do I make of looking in my Bible? Like I didn't go from the King James Bible to the New Version King James, or the English Standard Version, the New Living Translation. I didn't do all of that. I just went to my personal Bible, and it was different. And then on top of that, where I wrote it down at on a separate piece of paper, it was ripped out of that book. So it's like, okay, I appreciate the breakdown, because I'm learning a lot about it, like more background on it, more background. But one thing I'm really stuck on is the experience that I had, with how is that even possible,
Getting ripped out of there. Yeah, that's somebody is messing with you. Or you
Okay,
did
so
it
here's
yourself
another,
and forgot. Maybe.
right. I
Could
knew
be.
you were probably, I knew you're gonna probably say something like that, and that's cool. I understand, but okay, how about this one? I'm sitting in the Costco parking lot, right? The Costco is located across the street from my ex-wife's job. We seen that place almost every day. And a lot of the times we went to it. So this one night, we go to it, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna just stay in the car. And she said, okay. She went inside. I'm in the parking lot. I decided to go ahead and look up at the words on the building, Costco. And I was thinking to myself, I said, you know what the heck is a Costco, right? Like it makes more sense if there was a T in it. So it could be COST, right? It would make more sense to me because it's dealing with money or transactions or whatever. And then I just thought that at the time, when I'm looking at the sign, it said COSCO. I had a Costco card in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like I always see it. So I thought that it would make more sense if it had a T in it. 2 weeks later, people are talking about it on YouTube, talking about the Mandela effect. It has a T in it now. So how was that even possible? I didn't think that it. You know what people told me? People told me that flip flopped, and I was probably remembering it when it had a T or something, and that's why I thought a T and this and that and the other. To me, this is too no. Even if it flip flopped, then what is it doing flip flopping in the first place, right? Like, why is the name changing in the first place? So I don't know if there's people here that's in the chat that is familiar with that store. But yeah, I don't know. And then my dreams are getting a little crazier too. So I don't know if all this stuff is connected, but it would make sense because it's a part of reality, whatever reality is, right? So I don't know.
What do you mean your dreams were getting interesting? Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm going to assume first that I'm going to assume that you don't have an answer for the Costco one.
No, I don't, because the Costco one I noticed too, and it's pretty recent. And I noticed that when I was in Yucatan, actually in 2012, because they have Costco down there. And to me, that's when I felt like there was a change in that. And I decided to ban Costco from that point on, which it didn't work. I tried, but it worked for couple of years. And then it really worked after a couple of years ago when they charged me like 4 times for a membership in 1 year. And I was like, I'm done with you guys. I'm so done. But I don't think I remember at any point was it anything other than COSTCO until like recently, and I haven't even been by there and looked at it close enough for a while, so I don't feel like I can comment on it because I haven't paid attention since way back
Okay.
then.
Well, it
So,
turns out that Brenda in the chat, I don't know if you want to get that, but Brenda says that she's
oh
familiar
hey
with
Brenda, sure thing. Brenda, it's been a minute. Good to see you. And good to see you, Shark T Khan. Let me take a minute to shout out the chat. Hi, Shark T. And hey, Cat in a Bird Cage, if you're still here. Um, Nice to see you all. But yeah, let's see what Brenda says here. For me, it was Costco then for 18 months, 2018 to 2020. And then it was Costco, and then it changed back to COSTCO. So, that's interesting, Brenda, because like I said, I didn't pay close enough attention to it. What do you think about that, Propagate?
Yeah, it seems like people are having different recall on this. Everybody's not going to be the same, I guess. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know the years that I've seen it a certain way. I would just say I've seen it always as without a T, and it's just that one day. And people may say, well, what year was it when you seen it change? When it changed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know the year offhand. It was a long time ago, but I like how what Brenda had to say about that. You know, and then a Chuck E. Cheese. Are you familiar with Chuck E. Cheese
Oh yeah.
restaurant?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so
It's
what is
like
it called? What is the name called of the restaurant?
Chuck, Chuck, like Chucke, and there were dashes between the Chuck and the E, and the last word cheese, Cheese.
And okay, now check this out. Okay, I'm assuming that you're not familiar with that particular one, right? As far as
No. Mm-mm.
oh,
I
okay,
know
so
something happened, but I don't know what it was. I didn't look close enough.
okay, I'll make it real quick. It's gonna go into the dreams, but just
Okay.
real quick, that's another place that was near my ex-wife's job. So I asked her one day when I realized the change with that. I asked her, I said, "What's that restaurant called?" Like I just asked you, and she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Chucky." She said, "What? Chuck E. Cheese's?" And I thought that I was with like,
An S on the end. Seriously?
right, right.
Okay,
That's what
that's
that's what I
fair.
was thinking. So I'm like, okay, who am I with right now for real? Like what's really going on with my reality that someone's going to say Chuck E. Cheese's, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
that's that's what people said it changed to. So I went and looked, and it changed to Chuck E. Cheese's.
Mm.
Now, if you look now at up to
It,
this point,
no way.
it
That's when I know for sure it was never cheese. No way.
but check this out though. I'm going to assume this from the last time I looked. Even if you look right now to see it, you're not going to see it because you know why? They
Huh.
went ahead they went ahead and put out an announcement. Chuck E. Cheese restaurant said that
Mm-hmm.
they're going to they're going to rebrand their name Chuck E. Cheese's to Chuck E. Cheese. They're going to rebrand their name. So if you look
Rebranded. Rebranded. That's back the other way it originally was. No. Okay.
exactly
I'm trying to recall it in my mind. But see, that was the same thing with me and Bernstein. Um, it has always been, to me, the original spelling, which is not the way they do it now, um,
right.
or what's on the books. That one got me. That one got me super confused. The
Okay, but
Bernstein, because like it was one of my favorites growing up. I was really, really, and Junie B. Jones. I heard that it got changed to Jenny B. Jones. Did you hear that one? I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember it being Junie B. Jones. It was a
I'm
kid's
not
book.
familiar. Oh, okay. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar. I'm not even familiar with the Bear book. I'm not. I don't recall
Really?
that. Right.
Mm. Bernstein Bears, man, that was how I learned how to share.
Oh,
For
for
real.
real. Okay.
Hmm. Growing up, that one, and um, I almost call him what we call him in high school, Teddy Woodpecker, Teddy Rocks,
Okay.
Rockskin, Teddy Rupskin, Teddy Rup. How do you say that?
Yeah. You had it
Teddy
right.
Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Whoever jumped that in my head, Ruxpin. Yeah, that was it.
Well, if you decided to look on the Chuck E. Cheese, you may find that they did change it back to Chuck E. Cheese because you look at the discography or the history of it or whatever. I don't know what
Yeah,
website.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, I
And
know they
you,
had because they were one of the first in doing like animated create or not animated, but like moving um characters that were mechanical robotic characters. So they had like the weird Chuck E. Cheese's mouse that could like play the drums, and they were one of the first that developed that with Walt Disney in California, right?
okay.
I don't know if you know
Oh,
about that. Kind
no,
of
I don't know.
interesting history. It goes along with like the carousels of Walt Disney in that same timeline, of course, that I love the 1920s and 30s. That when all of this like really interesting time travel phenomena and all of that stuff starts beginning, I think starts really beginning. And Well, like,
Yeah,
the
sounds. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good segue. Let's go ahead and begin with that. I mean, I don't think the ME is caused by time travel, but I'm actually not sure, so I can't like definitively say what's what with that, you know. But some would say time travel. And dreams, like, are we time traveling? Do you think we're time traveling? What? I just made up a word, time traveling. Um, time traveling. Do you think that has something to do with where we go in our dreams?
yes, kind of. I think that time travel is different than dreamscapes. Though you can reach or achieve a certain part of time travel through dream. So, like when we were talking before, when you enter the astral plane or that plane to begin with, that's like halfway in between the sleep state and the waking up stage or going to sleep part, then essentially time travel can happen by you can review that timeline and move in your spirit. But physical time travel, like where you're physically moving your body through time, or others have been trapped into a time loop, essentially, they would, I would say, be that would be different outside of the dream world. That has to do with using some type of vehicle and traveling the telluric current lanes to uh, to make a move in the timeline where you're actually going backwards. Going forwards, I think, is a totally different aspect. To go forwards in time travel, then pretty much you can only do that through remote viewing. Um, I say pretty much because I think there has been attempts to forward time travel with a physical body, but I don't think anybody's made it back from that.
Okay, okay. Just real quick, I'm wondering about this. Like, you're familiar with the candy called Kit Kat, right?
Yeah.
How
Hmm.
did the name how did the name look to you? Like, how was it spelled?
Kit Kat. K I
Or
T K A T. Like how Brenda has it written on there.
Do
Sorry,
you
Brenda.
do you do you recall the dash in the middle of it? Are you forgetting to put the
Yeah.
dash there?
I would say there was a dash in the middle.
Okay, so that's another thing. Brenda brought it up in the chat. You know, there's no dash on that right anymore. It never was a dash.
No, there was a dash. There was always a dash. Really? Oh,
Hey,
wow.
that's a Mandela effect.
Well, let
Like
me
people.
finish reading the rest of because it won't put it all the way up here on Brenda's comment, but it says, I remember waiting for that to change for some reason in 2017. I went to the store and purchased a Kit Kat bar, ate the chocolate, and then I put the wrapper in the garbage. I guess it did get all of it. Sorry. Um, yeah. And then she says, next day when I went back to the store, there was no dash on the Kit Kat bar. And when I got back home and checked my trash, the Whopper. Speaking of, I bet Whoppers had to change to like probably one P from two P's or something.
It says rapper.
Yeah, it says wrapper, but I came out with Whopper there.
Oh,
Um,
okay. You could have it your way.
yeah, yeah, thank
Burger King, right?
you. There. And then take a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar, right?
So yeah, that's a thrilling experience. Not thrilling, but it chilling. Like it's kind of like seeing that word ripped out of the book. She said she went back to her garbage can to check the wrapper, and even the wrapper, changed.
Mm,
It's crazy.
yeah.
So
Well,
do you do you think that people are, because this is going beyond memory, in my opinion, especially in my experiences of this, like I I didn't mean to yell right there, but no, I was very skeptical. I was very skeptical at first, you know, but I've experienced too much this on this topic. I'm just trying to understand if it's like a part of any type of man dancing around. Like some people will say when we go to sleep, you know, we wake up, we could be in a different reality. I don't know if that has anything to do with all these different so-called changes.
Sorry there, I had to turn the background noise back on there, but I'll use the mute button. Um, it got really hot in here. I was like, oh my goodness.
Okay.
But we'll just have to talk over that. I'm sorry. Um, but can you go ahead and repeat that question for me? Because I actually lost my earbud, so I didn't hear you.
So my question is in connection with dreams. Some would say, and I thought this myself. I said this earlier. Like, do you? And you said that sometimes, right? Sometimes we end up in a different reality when we wake up. And I'm just thinking, like, does this have anything to do with the so-called changes that people are experiencing?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that people's psychic experiences in their dreams can definitely alter or change their memory. I think that's a really good point because we see that in like MK Ultra effect, where they're using dreams to impact or influence somebody's memory and change their memories. So yeah, there could definitely be some of that going on. And even just regular TV programming, like movie programming and this kind of stuff, the 60 frames per second stuff, all of that has impact on memory and can like seriously impact change our memories to remember something different or remember things a certain way. So maybe at some point there was a certain um, brand that remember branding was really big in the movies in the 90s. They would brand everything in the background. You would see Pepsi signs and this kind of stuff. A&W. Maybe on some of them, they set the brand so that we would see it repeatedly and then they changed that on us. So we see a different spelling as we're like growing up and stuff. And so there could be like two different alternate things that we were seeing. And in fact, we could remember either way. And it could cause a lot of confusion in that way too. Could be
Yeah,
if
yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand that. So let's say somebody recently mentioned Lucky's. You know the store Lucky's, right? Are you familiar with that store?
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
It has an S at the end, correct?
Yeah. With
Okay.
an apostrophe.
Right, right. But if you look now, there it never had an S ever.
Really? I would say it always did, like, but I wouldn't know it that well. It wasn't a big one for me to have paid attention to. So
Okay. So the reason why I brought that up is because we're talking about dreams and thoughts and things. So
okay. Hmm.
somebody recently mentioned Lucky's, and I'm familiar with that particular, so-called ME. So anyway, the person mentioned Lucky's, and they were talking about it. After that, I went about my day the next day or whatever, and I've been seeing it everywhere. Like I've been seeing the word lucky. Like I don't watch movies often, but I was watching one and a guy was standing in front of a neon sign that said lucky. And it's just like what's going on with the thoughts here? Like why am I seeing it everywhere? Is it a simulation or what?
Well, it makes me wonder about like Lucky Brand cigarettes. I think there was a change in that one too, wasn't that? Or is it just logo changes through time? Because a lot of companies just did logo changes or brand name changes too. Could have been.
Right, right, right. But if you look into the company's history, it will tell you that it's never changed anything.
Mm, true. True.
hmm And then people said they seen the word "the" in my name, and people are like really saying that your name had "the" in it.
I'm
Now,
convinced they just got that wrong because, as far as I know, there, as long as I've known you, it's always been this light, and there's always been this like argument with propagate the light, and people get so convinced that you were that before, but I don't. I have always noticed it as this. That was something that stood out to me to begin with when I first met you online. Was that you said this light, not the light.
right.
So I think that's just people seeing things because our minds will, like, we do it in reading all the time. And they teach you this when they teach you how to speed read and how to recognize whether your mind has um, recognized a familiar phrase and essentially wrote it for you in your brain, so you can catch a whole phrase in a reading, in a snapshot, in a glance, rather than reading every single word. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. That's what I thought it was too. But I've seen other people's name. Or we already know that the one person I always talk about. I knew his name was different, but anyway, I called into this stream not too long ago. Well, it's a couple of years. Long story short, I called in for a certain reason. I think it was Costco, and I was asking the guy like, is he familiar with Costco, whatever, whatever. So anyway, I took a clip from his stream. I took that part where I was on it and I put it on my channel. I went back to go listen to it, and I'm saying something totally different from what I said when I called in. So it was a call in. And so I'm listening to myself saying things I never said. So I spoke to the guy and he said, "Yeah, I called in for that reason. Um, and plus when I called in my name was The Light." So it okay, I called in for a particular reason. I'm listening back at it, and now I'm listening to myself say things that I never said.
That that is so. Sorry, get the thing going again. Um, that is that's a weird. That's weird. That's weird. I don't know what to say to that because it's like you're literally listening to yourself. If I understand that right, that say propagate the light on the radio
It was somebody else's stream that
on
I
someone
called.
else's stream. Okay, on the
Yeah, he
call.
right on the call. Right, right.
So he told you that he heard you say that, or you heard yourself say it.
Say what? On the
Propagate
front.
the instead of this.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Mm,
Um, that is a good question. Like, how did he know? Because I don't think I said my name, but maybe he said it. I don't. I have to go back and listen to it.
yeah.
But even another person, just real quick, another person. Are you familiar with Victoria's Secret? Victoria's
Oh
Secret.
yeah. Victor's
Oh,
secret. You mean?
okay, so it
Victor's
has a
great big secret.
right. So it has an S on that, right? Victoria's Secret, right?
Yep. Right. Right.
Okay. So I know it to be that. It turned into not having an S at one point, and it went back to having. But this goes to what I was saying earlier about saying lucky everywhere. Around the time when people were talking about Victoria's Secret, I was like, no, it's always been Victoria's S. And then I was working at this job, and the girl came in with a purse, with a bag. It was a bag type of purse, and it said Victoria's Secret on it. Like out of everything else, it said Victoria without it on it. So I'm thinking like, okay, you were talking about programming, how things happen with program. Um, so this is the thing I'm trying to understand dealing with thoughts, because this could affect our dreams too. Um, so how is it possible that Is it focus? Is it because I'm focused on that I'm seeing it manifest in different places? Like but I'm seeing the new way being manifest. Kind of like are you familiar with Donna Summer
Donna Summers, remind me. Oh,
from the 70s? She's a 70s singer
yeah,
singing.
yeah. Okay, okay, yeah.
Okay, so Donna Summers is how I recall it, and that's another one. There's no S on her name. So when people are saying that there was no S on her name, I'm going down the street one day, and then boom, out of nowhere, there's a poster on the wall talking about Donna Summer is about to be in concert. Out of everybody, why am I seeing a poster trying to make me believe or validate that there's no S, or just trying to program my brain with the no S? So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking maybe like if we have some kind of standing on this, then maybe we could have better dreams, maybe, or maybe we could change things through our dream state, or I don't know. Maybe it's all connected. I don't know.
Well, I wonder. I think it is all connected. I don't think you're too far off the mark on that one, honestly, because yeah, dreams and memory go hand in hand.
Mhm. Mhm.
So without, yeah, you gotta have one and the other, definitely. And I think that, well, let me say this way: the the realm or the place of the dreamscape um, has where you can it is a place where you can investigate your own memory. One of the things you can do there, like before you fall asleep, think about this, and then think about accessing your own memory. For a lot of us, it's really hard to remember when we were very young, 3, 4, 5 years old. So that's something that's still retained in there, and there's a pathway back to it. And essentially, the way to find that pathway back is to talk to your inner child, talk to your inner self. In talking to your inner self, then you essentially open up your memory bank and say, hey, there, I want to see this part of my life. Can you show me? As you fall asleep, repeat that and fall into a meditative trance. Sometimes you will dream about it. Sometimes you will see it as you fall asleep. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 times before you recognize anything, before memories come back. Sometimes it's like you'll dream about it, and then the next day you'll begin to remember what you dreamt about, and like parts and pieces will come back to you, and little by little, essentially. Does that help?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. I've been through that before too. I really like your outfit, and the It's nice to see what your spaceship looks like too inside.
Yeah, right. I like my spaceship. And the outside. Did you see the outside? I should show you.
I
That's
know. I
what I
did
had
see
on
it.
before. Um, here we go. There's the outside. I'm trying to make it. I don't know how
Oh,
to
that
make
was
it do that. I did it before earlier, but I don't remember now. There we go. I'll just play with buttons. But
it's the same thing. Yeah. Right. Right. I got you.
yeah, it's pretty fun. Um, anyways, you made me lose my train of thought there.
It's like it's like that phrase train of thought. I kind of, kind of liked it at one point in time. I was like, well, how can one lose a train, But then I said, okay, I understand what it means. It doesn't mean an actual train, you know?
No, it does. It absolutely does. That's a really good point because our thought moves along just like a train path, a
Mm-hmm,
set of
hmm.
trains. Time moves along in the same way too. It is very similar. I think that's why they were able to develop train technology in I call it train technology because it was technology back then. It was massive technology because everything to do with telegraph and learning how to transport messages um, by wire is telepathy in essence and technology. So I think it's pretty a really interesting topic because along the lines of time travel definitely goes with railroads, and just like there's a reason why we have that saying of
Mm.
that kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can we, like, what do you say about like how a person could master their dreams to, let's say, okay, let me just say I want to be more lucid in my dreams and be able to control it. How do I go about doing that? Do you know?
Yeah, a dream diary. Dream diaries are the best in that. I don't know if I can say this on here or not, but hallucinogenic mushrooms can help with opening up your third eye or decalcifying your third eye, essentially, like because so many of us got fluoridated, so or calcified. Drinking water with a lot of calcium in it or fluoride in it will eventually, over the years, fluoridate or shut down your pineal gland. So if that shuts down, you won't have access to any of the spiritual parts of this realm. If it's calcified, if it's you can't turn it on, you can't see anything. It's like having a glass eye. It's there, but you can't use it to see anything out of unless there's some kind of technology wrapped into it to make it work. So I think that's mostly what the Neuralink and virtual reality is all about because in virtual reality, we're essentially opening up that third eye. Even in video games and that kind of stuff, you're forcing that third eye to open up and interact in a spiritual realm type sense, virtual place. So this is the exact same thing that happens in the spirit realm, only they're opening up a whole different what do you put um, reality. It doesn't affect much of the actual physical reality because it's just they're building a whole new world essentially because of it. So,
Okay. So I did a little research on the third eye way back in the
mhm.
day. I'm not going to say that I know everything there is to know, but I came to one conclusion, at least what I've come to, is that the eye of Horus. Well, anyway, the third eye was used back in the day. Was the third eye was kind of I don't want to say, trying to choose my words carefully. It was used by people for other reasons, and so people relate to it as a symbol of a group that's doing bad things or whatever, right? But also it's the eye of Horus. But and at the same time, what we're calling the third eye is actually the pineal gland, which we all have. So like, what's the how can I put it? So the third eye is not a bad thing. It's what we all have, correct?
Correct. It's just like your appendix. It's pretty important, but the Western medicine world would like you to think it's totally invaluable and you can have it removed. So, but it
Right.
has a huge, yeah, it has a huge
Right.
impact.
So without saying any particular names, there's a group that's actually using that symbol for their purpose, I guess, right? And then um, people are saying thinking that the third eye is something evil, right? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, you would have to take that into quite a bit of context because the third eye itself isn't evil. It's like saying your pinky finger is evil. It doesn't have that ability. It has whatever you choose. It's a tool, whatever you choose to do with it. You can turn it off, you can turn it on, you can use it, you can develop its skill. It's a muscle, it has muscle memory. So the more you use it, the more, just like your eyes have a muscle memory, the more you can strengthen them, or they can weaken through time if you don't do strengthening exercises with your eyes. So, and then it's just as um, susceptible to things that the body is susceptible to, sickness and disease and this kind of stuff too, if you don't take care of it properly, which is use it. So the one symbol I know of for sure that uses the actual shape of the third eye would be like the yoga lotus symbol. Um, but it's basically a pine cone. It's where we get all of these pine cone imagery stuff being like the central life of universe, having the Fibonacci sequence within it and this kind of thing. So it's pretty
Right.
important.
Right, exactly. When I was studying that, I happened to be been married at the time, and then she had a lamp in the room, and all this time that lamp has been there. I'm looking at it now, and inside of the lamp where the light goes, it's a pine cone, and I'm just like, oh my goodness! Like I was trying to tell her, like, look, like this is kind of the third eye. It represents light, and it's a pine cone, and this is all of my research that I came across, but it's actually inside of the light fixture, a pine cone, type of ornament, if you will.
Mm,
It's part of the light.
mm-hmm.
And, and so it all makes sense. Like anybody not noticing that, they'll just think it's some kind of design inside of the light, that's a part of the light fixture or part of the lamp. And so I guess that's what I was saying earlier, that when you get out of survival mode and you kind of like get into that third eye, so to speak, you're able to like really, um I can't even say that because you're not uh familiar with a lot of MEs, so but I know that your third eye is open. So, but some people are just in survival mode. They like you. Okay, so how do you exercise the third eye then? How does someone get out of survival mode to do that?
Meditation. Meditation and really paying attention to what you put in your body. There are specific foods that can open it up and or open up your eye to where it's more attentive to its surroundings, where you start to use it. Something like that would be pineapple. Pineapple is like the very best thing to drink if you're wanting to connect with your third eye. Um, Daily meditation, a dream journal, a dream diary, something where you just wake up, it's beside your bed, and you write down your thoughts. You don't even have to write down if you remember your dream or not. You can just write, okay, I don't remember it, but this is kind of the feeling that I had when I woke up. And then go back to that dream diary in by noontime and write down anything else that you may have thought or had feelings. Um, oh yeah, pineapple is the greatest, Brenda, and it's great for also pineapple will it has bromelain in it. So anytime you get a cough or you have anything going on with your lungs, pineapple can help bring that stuff up. In pneumonia, even it can help in pneumonia. Not a doctor, not offering medical advice, just good tips that we should put of things in our body. But really good exercise, even just stretches, this kind of thing is all going to impact your pineal gland. Anything that you do that recenters your body, a really, really fun one, especially for women, but men too, um, that that can help you become centered and become more balanced and know how to move your chi, move your energy, is a martial arts called Wing Chun. Um, A lot of people know it from Jet Li. He made it famous with his movies, Wing Chun. But it's an ancient art that has been around for a long time, developed by women in order for smaller people to be able to overcome without a lot of strength, bigger people who are bigger, faster, stronger than they are. So Wing Chun specifically for women helps you to balance your center core. And balancing your center core, having your chakras essentially, I hate to use trigger words, but that's what they are, your points of balance in your body, having those 7 points lined up, not necessarily open and spinning. I'm not talking about all of that stuff. Just having them aligned, having these things balanced inside of your body will all affect your top chakra or your third eye. Going through in your meditation, where you start at the top of your head and bring down like sand. Pretend like your body is full of sand. And from the top of your head, feel that sand coming out of your body, through your toes and through your fingers. And imagine it coming all the way out and taking with you all of the negative, with that sand, all of the negative energy, all of the past times through the day, anything that, everything, just let it all go out through your body, through your fingertips, and then out through your toes. Then imagine your body after you've done and you feel like every grain of sand is out. Refill your body up, imagine, with water. With that water, imagine that it's healing you, that it's, and when I say imagine, like picture this in your mind of that water coming in and enveloping you within itself. And water has the ability to do that. Even if you want to do this while you're bathing is a really good exercise too, because then you're actually in the water, experiencing the feel of the water enveloping you. And then after you're done bathing, let that water out and imagine as that staying in the water until all the water is gone. And in your mind, imagine all that negative energy, everything from the day flowing out the drain and down the drain. What that will help you do is cleanse your energy and balance your chakras, which is like, if you can do that daily, you will start to be able to tap into your third eye much easier. Alone time, introspection into your own self and your own ways can also help to open that eye and use it and increase your skills. I hope that helps. Questions?
Well, what I wanted to ask is, okay, so we're see that's ever that I'm recalling, fake it until you make it when you're saying all that. It's having to me recall that phrase, because not to say all that's fake. I'm just saying, like, when you're thinking in your thoughts, all of these things, just this what you were saying, like, imagine it. How is it that our thoughts, like, we're imagining it? How is excuse me, how is it actually happening in real time just by imagining it?
Essentially, well, some people, let me start here. Some people say that, smart people, that the mind and that thing which happens in the mind is more real than our physical world around us. Once you start to grasp and understand that concept, then you can understand that the things which you have control in your mind of, making your choices, making your decisions throughout the day even, and being totally cognitively aware of every choice, trying to become aware, more detailed oriented in every choice that you make. It's a little overwhelming, but it's worth the time to do it. It's worth the exercise and time to do it, because in the end, what you're going to be able to do is that level of introspection within yourself. Figure out why you make the decisions and the choices that you're making. You'll be able to do that, where a lot of people, they don't know why they're doing this way, or why they do even simple things like the dishes in this manner. Well, that's the way my mom taught me how to do them, most people would answer. But if you seriously question, well, is that really the best way to do this project? Or can I find a better way to do it? And that in that way you improve your skills, improve anything it is that you want to self-teach yourself how to do. With that dedication, with that strength, because it is a strength when you start to dedicate your mind into figuring out why you do everything, or anything in particular. Introspection is the number one thing I have found to really open up the third eye and start to use it and be able to use it, because it's like it gives a sense of meditation. But not only that, you begin to combat the egos that way too, the 7 egos. And whenever you have a winning battle against one of the 7 egos, you gain a step spiritually. You can either gain a skill, or you can gain just whatever it took for you to win that ego spiritual battle, in the physical sense. Then you will gain something from that every time you fight those egos.
Okay. So I just had to tell them, let go of my ego, let go of my ego, let go of my ego. But so what I wanted to ask is just on what you were saying there. Okay, so what I want to know is, like, do you know like what the mind is? And I heard somewhere today that the mind creates the brain, not the other way around. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's a deep one. That's a really deep one. That's going into all kinds of different realms and theories of thought. The mind creates the brain. Essentially, they're saying that the mind lives or resides in a different dimension than where the brain resides inside of your head. A lot of people believe this, and so do I, because it makes sense to me. I don't go inside of my gray matter to find my memory. I go to a location that's filled with pathways. And according to a specific memory that I want to find, I'll find trail markers which lead back to that memory. Like we were talking before, how do you find those specific memories? That's another way, is to learn how to view your mind. In viewing your mind, then you can start to see those pathways and find your memory lanes. It's another trigger word or keyword that is accurate.
But
Memory
okay,
lanes.
okay.
And they
Do you
usually
know?
have markers or street signs to find your way
Okay,
around.
okay. Hope I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't mean to cut you off, but do you know what the mind is? The mind.
The mind, that's what I'm saying. The mind is a place more so than inside of your head, and that's the only place that it is. Um, Basically, the understanding of that is that it's another dimension. Your mind exists in a dimension and continues on even past your physical life. Kind of thing.
So does this phrase even make sense to you when someone says I changed my mind? What does that actually mean?
I know, right? That has never made sense to me. I changed my mind. Well, you mean you changed the thoughts, which made you decide that you thought better about the way you were going to do things, and so now you're going to do things differently? Okay. Basically, right?
Right, right. So the mind the is part of the whole dreamscape thing, right? Like the
Right. Right. The mind being part of the dreamscape, same reality, same location. Like it's the dimension where you encounter the astral plane so that you can exit the location of the mind. And I think that a lot of people believe that that location of the mind is connected to other people's as well. And then they kind of all melt together essentially into source. Makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, is it possible that we can have shared dreams?
Absolutely possible to have shared dreams. I've had that happen many times. Even same night had the same dreams with other people. Yeah. I think that's probably
Mm.
what explains how we were able to do things like that. It's all in this plane where memory is kept.
So is that the same plane as the Akashic records?
Yes, yes, it is. I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking about that earlier too. So yeah, same plane as the Akashic records are located. Same plane that most people describe is like this black area with stars. Those stars being all different kinds of spirits, souls, living spirits.
Mm. So is it possible that when we look up in the sky when it's nighttime and the so-called what we call stars, I kind of had this feeling like maybe at least some of them are whatever that is up there is conscious. Is that possible, or is it just energy?
Um, well, that whatever is up there is conscious. Well, energy, I think energy is conscious.
Right, right.
So all things have consciousness. All things that are living have some type of consciousness to it, aware of its own existence, I would say, to a sense.
Right. No,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
that makes sense. I should have rephrased that, but what are we actually looking at? Do you know, like the so-called stars? What is that?
A very clear physical representation of what it looks like when we enter the astral plane into the other realms. That's
Okay,
essentially what it looks like. So, stars, the planetary bodies, those are different locations you can get to by the astral plane. Through the astral plane, they're like doorways into different places.
so when we dream, right? When we dream, do is there sometimes we're in the astral realm and sometimes we're not?
Mm, yeah, yeah, definitely. Because sometimes when we dream, it's not anything more than something within your own memory, within your own self that your body's trying, or your brain, mind is attempting to communicate to you. So your conscious is attempting, or your subconscious is attempting to contact your conscious. Premonition. A lot of times people will get um, prem- premonition dreams, dreams that show something coming in the short term future or even long term future, to help them prepare for what is coming. So depending on some of your clairvoyance skills, your different advancement skills in that realm, you would be able to know essentially whether or not your subconscious was only just trying to contact your conscious, or your ability to remember it consciously um, can can also make a difference. But yeah, yeah. Does
Okay,
that make
so when we
sense?
look, yeah, yeah, no, I'll follow you definitely. I have some experiences that fit what you're saying, but like, so when we look up in the night sky, and you say that's a kind of like similar to what we see in the astral. So are you also saying that in the astral realm there's when you travel to different places, are they planets, or are they just like a plane of reality? When you go to different places in the astral realm.
There are all kinds of things. You can go to different locations, you can travel to different times. Some of them are planets, some of them are entire universes within their own system. Um, Now, I've never encountered anything outside of our own galaxy location. I've heard some people say that they have, but since I've never encountered it, I don't know. But I see that it could possibly exist. I don't see why not. It couldn't exist. Ours exists. So, um, but I've never been able to make it past the 13 dimensions of what this realm has. So, yeah,
So
yeah.
you,
But there's
so
plenty to visit in ours. Go ahead.
oh, okay. So so you haven't made it past. So like, so did you get there through this dream state, or just like meditation or something? Or
No, yeah, basically meditation. I with intention. Pretty much only that I know of in dream state that you can encounter, or that I've been able, is that premonition thing where you're dreaming about what's about to happen or going to happen, and so you're totally prepared essentially for what will happen the next day. You know what to say. You know what's, when this event happens, what to how to respond essentially, or not even just that, but what you need to do that day, what you have to get done in order to impact whatever it is that you are intending, or not you specifically, because in most cases this is something that is having to do with people who impact the timeline historically. So those type of people are going to have specific steps that they have to accomplish, and the way that that can get done is helped through those dreams, premonition dreams.
okay, that's interesting. So why did you bring up timelines in the title of the stream? Like, did you want to say some stuff about, I mean, time travel?
Mm, just how it relates to, um, mm, I don't know, just basically how it relates to what's the Mandela effect, and how I think time travel is the main reason, because CERN is, I think, a power source for achieving time travel in essence, as well as traveling through stargates and this kind of thing, which is also time travel.
Okay. I see in the chat that Brenda, I think you're you wanted to know what I thought about something, but I was trying to find what you're referring to, but the only thing I seen was your premonition. I had a premonition, the same type of premonition, maybe the same type of. Okay, let me rephrase that. The same thing happened with me before that event happened. I was dreaming about airplanes falling out of the sky in the downtown area, like where there's tall buildings. Was
Hmm.
yours just was yours the same way, Brenda? Because and then I ended up seeing it on, just like you said, on television. So yeah, I had the
Hmm.
same similar experience. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
big
the
things like that definitely had a lot of people experience some premonition dreams about big events. So like remote
right,
viewers and stuff, people who were doing it naturally without realizing it, I think saw a lot too.
right. So that's what you were saying earlier. You're saying that that was the higher self giving you a message, I guess.
Essentially, yeah, your higher self. Hmm. Essentially,
So is
basically,
it
because it's not just your higher self, it's also the other entities which are standing guard over your bloodlines. Certain bloodlines have certain entities standing guard, commonly known as like guardian angels. So depending on your bloodline, on your DNA, go backs, stuff that maybe you've done or accomplished in a past life, which gained you a specific entity to guard and watch over you. That makes sense.
interesting? No, yeah, I'm just I'm letting it. I can't think of the word now, but I'm thinking about what you just said. Yeah, that's some.
Yeah.
So what's the purpose of telling people, or just say, hey, this is going to happen? What's the purpose of that, so the person won't be too surprised when it happens, or be prepared, or what?
Um, it's okay for me. The reason why I get them is, or not the reason why, but what I found how they help me is a lot can happen to me in a day. Is stuff that would most people would be like, "Whoa, how do you go along with that?" Because you'll meet people randomly. In that meeting of people, it evolves or develops into something that needed to happen eventually, or in this sense. So if I get a premonitive dreams, usually it comes in sequence where it'll just start to happen every single night. And it's usually because I'm going through something that is really impacting that I have to essentially get right as I go through it because it's going to impact either around me, a ripple effect, or what needs to happen for the next thing to happen. So that's how, for me specifically, why I get premonitory dreams. Sometimes the premonition dreams are involving the death of somebody, the passing away of somebody. So I'll be there for, I'll know it's about to happen, and then I'll be there to help the family through it or this kind of thing, help give them advance warning that, hey, you got to get prepared. Your so and so is about to go. So, yeah, it can be like that too. But I'm thinking we're actually propagate getting close to wrapping up. If you're okay with that, we're reaching about an hour and 40 minutes or so. If there's, you want to
Yeah.
bring up anything else or have any other questions before we wrap up?
Oh no, no, just having a conversation. Yeah, I know I've been asking a lot of questions, but it's always good talking to you. So I appreciate you having me on. That's about it. I don't
So
know if
sweet.
we really got into the exacts of your title, but I think that
Mm,
we talked about a lot of stuff that's based around it, and
yeah,
that's
sure thing.
that's a part of it. Yeah.
Broad range of topics, and I just kind of wanted to brush into it a little bit tonight and open it up, like we said last night, that there'll be a lot more. A lot of these first streams coming out will be opening up the main topics that I will be discussing and getting more into and with more details. So awesome. Thank you so much. Propagate.
It's all good, and I thank you for everybody coming through, clicking like
Yeah,
it.
sure thing. Remember to like, remember to subscribe to Propagate This Light. You'll see me over on his channel coming up here in about a week on the 27th, right?
On the
And
26th
on the
should be a
26th.
Tuesday.
On
Yeah, 20.
Tuesday night. Yeah, and you'll find the link for Propagate This Light down there in the description box. And um, we will see you guys soon. Thank you so much for coming. Ciao, ciao.
Rock steady. Rock
Okay.
steady. Peace.
Groovy. Right, ciao.